Hello again. Now, there are concerns about staff safety at the University of Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape. It follows the murder of Mboneli Vesele, the Executive Protection Officer to Vice-Chancellor Professor Sakhele Buhlungu. It's believed the assailants were after Buhlungu, whose life has been threatened before. Today, Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande and Police Minister Bheki Cele are at the university assessing the situation there, and they've met with members of the council and also the management team, including some students as well. Ronald Masinda covering that story for us is joining us now. Ronald, we just saw that media briefing ending there with Blade Nzimande, Mondli Kungubele speaking to the media, but we understand the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, was also around. What are the key outcomes? What are the key takeouts? What did the Minister have to say?
Good afternoon, Pradan. Well, Minister Blade Nzimande strongly denying claims that government has not been doing enough for University of Fort Hare. This follows claims made by the Vice-Chancellor that he had to make calls on the President to assist in the security detail that is needed here at the university. Now, there have been several attacks on staff at the university. In March, there was a shooting that took place in Dr. Van Heerden's residence. He was the Deputy Vice-Chancellor who then had to step down following that particular incident. And in May, the fleet manager was shot and killed outside his home in Gunubi in East London. And now, of course, recently, the bodyguard of the Vice-Chancellor was gunned down. Blade Nzimande saying earlier that they've been investing heavily in a number of projects here at the university, and that this university has become top priority. This is what he had to say further on that particular matter.
Over the last few years myself, of all the universities, we've given a lot of attention to the University of Fort Hare. So no one should claim that we have not done a lot to work with this university. I also want to indicate this because we can't just look at this in isolation from these other matters. The University of Fort Hare has also received extensive funding by the department to ensure its sustainability and development. By way of example, we have given the University of Fort Hare 282 million rands for infrastructure development by the university over a 5-year period. We have also given the university 288,920,000 rands between 2015 and 2021-2022 from the Sibusiso Bhengu Development Grant, whose aim is for the university to develop itself and build its own specialities and its own personality, if you like. We have also given the University of Fort Hare 130 million that was granted within a few weeks of request by the Vice-Chancellor in response to the dire water sanitation challenges in Alice for the development of the water and sanitation treatment plant. We have also given Fort Hare 122 million that was contributed to the creation of the Alice Student Village, especially the design, in the process releasing 1,437 bed structure for student accommodation. In fact, with that, the face of the Alice campus of Fort Hare has changed completely. We have also given the university 117 million rands, 976,000 for foundation provision over a 5-year period. In summary, we have given Fort Hare almost R1 billion.
Now, this is a very difficult situation facing Fort Hare University, Ronald. I guess there'll be a lot of condemnation about what's been happening.
Yes, indeed, Pradan. Well, a lot of outrage since the recent assassination, with the many calling for the police also to step in and try and make those meaningful arrests. What we also understand is that they are concerned as when the resumption of tertiary institutions, how will the Vice-Chancellor perform his duties, given that he also feels that his life is under threat. The students that we spoke to earlier also saying that, the biggest crime that he has done is to fight corruption within the institution that has been unraveling for many years. What's been said here is that this matter with regards to the Vice-Chancellor is him fighting over people who want to procure tenders illegally. And Blade Nzimande is saying that this is also not only a Fort Hare problem, but it seems to be a problem throughout the country. This is what the Minister had to say earlier.
I remain outraged by this inhumane act and strongly condemn it. I, however, remain confident that the police will go very deep into investigating the full circumstances and find the perpetrators of this heinous act.
Yeah, and then there's going to be some actions, Ronald, taken. The Minister outlining them that they've agreed on a number of measures in order to address the issues, for example, of corruption at higher institutions.
Yes, indeed, Bradan. And also what's more important is his engagement this afternoon, where he will be meeting with Police Minister Becky Cele. Becky Cele is also holding his own press conference later this afternoon, where he will be joined by Deputy Minister of State Security, Zizikodwa, as well as the Police Commissioner. But what we understand also is that the SIU is yet to give feedback as to their own investigations into alleged maladministration and corruption at this particular institution. But it seems like a task force team will also be looking into some of the issues that has been plaguing this institution for years. Let's take a listen to what the Minister had to say about that.
Out of today's discussions, here are the key issues that we have come up with. In our engagement with Council, we have agreed on certain short-term measures as well as medium to long-term measures. The first thing that we agreed upon is that we all have to work to ensure that we have a smooth beginning to the academic year. In fact, all the stakeholders committed, the student leadership and the worker leadership. On our side as the department, we had already identified a number of institutions where we have got to do some close monitoring. We have added Fort Hare into that. That when the year starts, right now, we are going to be doing close monitoring of the entire sector, but with a particular focus on certain institutions. Secondly, what we agreed with Council is that we need focused attention on issues of safety and security, not just at Fort Hare, but in the entire higher education sector, and agreed that we're going to form a national task force by the department working with the sector, universities and colleges that will focus on safety and security in our institutions at a systemic level.
Okay, Ronald, it looks like the Minister has sort of outlined what they've achieved today, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Just as we conclude, do we know about the safety of Professor Buhlungu? The last reports we had heard was that he's in a safe location. Did the Minister or anybody had anything to say about that? Have they spoken to the Vice-Chancellor?
So the Vice-Chancellor did actually, or he was part of the engagements earlier today at Fort Hare University. He arrived quite late, Bradan, and there was concerns whether or not he will be present, because there was a statement issued by the university stating that the Management Executive Committee will not be part of today's engagement, citing reasons that they are still in mourning and that they are focusing on providing support for colleagues of the slain bodyguard, but also, more importantly, and the issue that was raised about safety and security on campus, is that there are still concerns about that and whether or not it will be safe for management to be on campus. But the minister saying earlier on that they had a fruitful discussion with the Vice-Chancellor and that he seems to be in a happy space. And then earlier today, we also heard from Blade Nzimande saying that the Vice-Chancellor was also in communication with the Police Minister and that things seem to be okay. The Vice-Chancellor has not spoken to the media today, but what he has been saying during some of the media reports is that he is happy to continue as Vice-Chancellor of this institution in 2023.